Good, happy Friday morning, March 13, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Friday morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Friday morning, so let's begin. First up, 6th person in New Hampshire tests positive for Covid-19. Rockingham County man self-isolated after returning from Europe, health officials say. Let's take a listen to that video from WR News 9.
It's the Honda Dream Garage Spring Event. The perfect time to get that awesome new Honda you've been dreaming of. Like the versatile HR-V. Or the award-winning CR-V. Or the...
And we begin with breaking news this noon. A 6th Granite Stater has just tested positive for COVID-19 in New Hampshire. That announcement just being made in the last hour. Good afternoon, I'm Mike Cherry. Now, according to officials, a man from Rockingham County who traveled to multiple countries in Europe has the virus. They say he did self-isolate once he returned from Europe and got tested when he developed symptoms. Members of his household have also self-quarantined.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire colleges announced policies around spring break and COVID-19 concerns. University of New Hampshire issues guidelines for its campuses. Let's take a listen to that video from WR News 9, Suzanne Rowntree.
It's the Honda Dream Garage Spring Event. The perfect time to get that awesome new Honda you've been dreaming.
Spring break begins for UNH after classes end tomorrow. Students were supposed to be back in the classrooms on March 23rd. But UNH's president now says from the 23rd to April 3rd, all classes will be 100% online. During that time, access to campus housing will be restricted.
I think it's great that the schools are staying open. They're providing the flexibility of online courses. Each of the schools is doing it a little bit differently.
Keene State has made the same decision as UNH. Plymouth State, on spring break this week, will resume classes on Monday. SNHU will be moving instruction online for 2 weeks starting on Monday, and Dartmouth announced today that students should plan to be away from campus for the whole spring term with the possibility of resuming on-campus classes May 4th. Some students at UNH say the 2-week online experience could prove to be challenging.
Right now I'm in a cooking class, and we have lab that we cook food in, and we're not going to be able to do that through a computer. I already take some online classes. My major has a few, so I'm used to it, but I can see why a lot of people would struggle with it. It's a lot different than being in person.
It's only 2 weeks. If it were longer, then yes, but if everything goes as planned, then no, I think it would be refreshing.
Maybe it'll be fine. I guess we'll find out.
Now, also tonight, St. Anselm College is limiting campus access only to those with a campus ID, no visitors. Students there are also being asked to only travel off campus if it's essential. Live in Durham, Suzanne Rowntree, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Upcoming New Hampshire Superior Court jury trials canceled over COVID-19 concerns. Civil criminal trials scheduled for the next 30 days to be rescheduled. Let's take a listen to that video from WR News 9, Mike Cronin.
Honda Dream Garage Spring Event. The perfect time to get that awesome new Honda you've been dreaming.
Tonight, courts are taking drastic steps to slow the spread of COVID-19. Inside New Hampshire's federal courts, all jury trials and proceedings, as well as naturalization events through May 1st, will be rescheduled. State courts are making major changes, too.
We want to take action immediately.
Effective tomorrow, all Superior Court criminal and civil jury trials will be delayed for 30 days. The move will impact about 10 to 20 cases.
We in government and business have an obligation to do what we can to take preventative action around the spread of the disease.
Chief Justice Tina Netto says convening juries comes with a risk.
We have received many calls from potential jurors who are scheduled to appear in court, and they were concerned about being in a room, confined room with 100 other people.
It's incredibly concerning that something like this would happen, as we have clients who have a right to speedy trial.
Criminal defense attorney Chuck Keefe worries about his clients, some who now face longer jail time, as well as a court system that he says is already overwhelmed.
With a whole month of jury trials canceled, trying to reschedule them in the near future is going to be, if not incredibly difficult, virtually impossible. And then that will have a trickle-down effect.
Certainly there'll be some delay for some cases, but we will get to them promptly.
As of right now, arraignments, sentencings, and other hearings will still go on as planned. Court officials will continue to work with health experts to determine if any other steps need to be taken. Reporting live in Manchester, Mike Cronin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire Insurance Commissioner directs insurance companies to cover COVID-19 testing. No copay or deductibles for services. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
It's the Honda Dream Garage Spring Event. The perfect time to get that awesome new Honda you've been dreaming of.
Well, the New Hampshire Insurance Commissioner is ordering all insurance companies to cover COVID-19 testing and initial doctor's visits in the state. There will be no copays or deductibles for those services. But the state's goal is to break down financial barriers to coronavirus testing.
We wanted to ensure that consumers weren't making a financial choice about determining whether or not they should be tested for COVID-19.
DHHS has said testing costs will also be covered for Medicaid recipients. You can watch the full interview on New Hampshire Business. That airs Sunday on News 9 this morning.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New Hampshire State Epidemiologist answers questions on COVID-19. Dr. Benjamin Chan answers audience questions. Let's take a look at the video.
We have less than 100 dairy farms left in New Hampshire. Tell your grocer today to carry milk with New Hampshire's own logo.
You can't get any more local than buying it from the farmer.
Please help save our farms.
State health officials say patient number 6 self-isolated when he returned to New Hampshire and called his doctor to report symptoms. Everyone in his household is now also in self-quarantine. 3 men have now tested positive from Rockingham County, 3 from Grafton County. 4 traveled abroad, 2 had contact with someone who tested positive. The state health department says there are now 21 pending tests in New Hampshire. 275 people are being monitored. On News 9 at 5, state epidemiologist Dr. Benjamin Chan said while they are trying to slow community spread, they do expect more cases here.
for the foreseeable future, we can expect more cases in the United States and likely more detections in New Hampshire as well. So despite the testing we're doing in the communities, we have not identified more sustained or widespread community transmission. But as this spreads globally, as this spreads in other states and around the country, we're going to see more detections in New Hampshire, and we're going to try and delay this from coming into New Hampshire and spreading for as long as possible.
And keep in mind, there is now a 24-hour hotline in the state. You can call 211 with your questions or concerns. Monica.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Utah jazz player who tested positive for coronavirus reportedly visited Encore Boston Harbor Casino. A person who visited Encore Boston Harbor on March 5th has tested positive for the coronavirus, known as COVID-19, the Massachusetts Gaming Commissioner said. The Boston Globe reported that Utah Jazz player who tested positive for coronavirus was the individual who visited Boston Harbor Casino when his team was in town to play the Boston Celtics. The gaming commissioner said it is working with public health authorities and with Encore and Waymon executives to identify facts, assess the situation, and determine the next step. Public health authorities said the person was asymptomatic on March 5th. The Department of Public Health said the risk of exposure to the coronavirus by people who came into contact with the person is minimal. And we will keep you updated on that story. Also, we can tell you that the band from Recycle Percussion took photos with that Utah Jazz player, and they are in self-quarantine as well. Drill held to prepare first responders for dealing with COVID-19 patients. EMTs wore special equipment to avoid infections. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
It's the Honda Dream Garage Spring Event. The perfect time to get that awesome new Honda you've been dreaming of. Like the versatile HRV. Or the award-winning CRV. Or...
Memorial Hospital from Conway 1282, COVID-19 pre-alert.
The call for this training drill came in at 9:15, prompting emergency responders to prepare to transport a patient experiencing potential COVID-19 symptoms.
When they get that message, would put on extra protective equipment before they encounter the patient.
That includes a jumpsuit and a respirator. EMTs will then ask the patient a series of questions.
What's your first name, sir?
Matt. If they're sick enough to need to go to the hospital, then we treat them like any other patient.
Once inside Memorial Hospital, the patient would be brought to a negative pressure room with staff covered from head to toe.
And when the patient arrived, they were brought into a room that was designated for this type of exposure, making sure all of our staff was prepared and protected.
Do you have any other medical issues that you know of?
There's no specific treatment for COVID-19, but doctors and nurses can help treat symptoms.
We've been looking at this since this first was really an issue back in January. We're actually meeting 2 times a day.
Everyone should feel calm and comfortable that the healthcare system is working. Our hospitals, our fire departments, our EMS providers are prepared to deal with this.
The fire chief tells us they will make tweaks to the drill and practice those portions once more. Reporting in Conway, Kristen Carosa, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Dow features erase earlier losses, point to opening gain of more than 400 points. U.S. stock features were volatile in early morning trading after the major averages on Thursday suffered their worst session since the Black Monday market crash in 1987. Italy on lockdown as death toll continues to rise. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
France now closing all schools and universities, and sobering words from the French president tonight calling the coronavirus the most serious health crisis in a century. International soccer star Cristiano Ronaldo in home isolation, his whole team after a teammate tested positive. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is in self-isolation tonight after his wife Sophie exhibited symptoms after returning from the UK. And tonight you will see right here the agonizing plea from a brother in Italy and what then plays out behind him as the situation only worsens in that country. We warn you it's difficult, and here's ABC's James Longman.
Tonight, a heartbreaking call for help. This man saying his sister, lying on the bed behind him, is dead, falling victim to the illness Saturday. He says the authorities abandoned him, claiming they refused to collect the body at first, only coming after his pleas. She's now one of more than 1,000 Italians who won't wake up from Italy's nightmare. Makeshift tents to treat the sick, fighting for their lives and their dignity. One hospital reportedly receiving a new patient every 5 minutes. Experts warning Italy is still 2 weeks away from the outbreak's peak, as more than 60 million people are urged to stay at home. This doctor in Madrid, another victim of Europe's contagion, documenting his illness to thousands of followers.
I'm symptomatic right now. I feel tired with little dry cough.
The virus does not discriminate. The world's most famous soccer star, Ronaldo, in home isolation after a teammate tested positive for COVID-19. And the wife of Canada's Prime Minister now showing symptoms after a trip to the UK. The Trudeaus now both in isolation, waiting for their results. And in the UK, a dark warning from Prime Minister Boris Johnson about what lies ahead.
Many more families are going to lose loved ones before their time.
And late tonight, France's president echoing that alarm, closing all schools and universities, calling it the most serious health crisis France has faced in a century.
And so let's get to James Longman with us again tonight. He's from self-quarantine there in London. And as we've been reporting here for days now, it was suggested upon landing back in the UK after reporting from Italy 3 times for us. Authorities suggested to James that he's self-quarantined, so that's what he's doing. James, you reported tonight that Italy, it's still believed, is 2 weeks from its peak. And these numbers were really telling. From the World Health Organization, it says that Italy has more hospital beds and doctors per capita than the U.S. does, and the U.S. is just beginning to deal with this. A bit of a warning sign, what we're seeing in Italy.
Yeah, that's right, David. So with the virus still yet to peak in Italy, they are being overwhelmed, the sheer number of people needing help. And it is a wake-up call, given that Italy has perhaps more beds than the United States per capita.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.